August 1st, 2023, meeting to order at 6:01 p.m. All council members are present except for Councilmember Porterud and Councilmember Rodriguez. Welcome to our guests and visitors. We provide an opportunity for the public to address the City Council on any agenda item or during the hearing of visitors portion of the agenda. On items other than public hearings, speakers will be allotted 1 3-minute presentation regardless of the number of agenda items the speaker wishes to address. If you're here to speak and not filled out a registration card, please see the City Secretary staff at the registration table outside of the auditorium so that staff can contact you if necessary. If you have handouts, please let us know at the beginning of your presentation, and staff will distribute those to council. If you're unable to approach the podium due to physical limitations, a microphone is available to be brought to you. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our first item of business is to consider the minutes of the June 20th, 2023 regular City Council meeting and the July 11th, 2023 special City Council meeting. These minutes were in your meeting packet. Are there any corrections? Nope. If not, those will stand approved as submitted. And next we have a special proclamation for Athletic Director Josh Gregory and Baseball Coach Corey Beckham. If y'all would join me at the podium, and I'm going to invite Councilmember Jim Holmes to come along with me since this is in his council district. Oh,
Here you
man,
go.
he always goes
There it
for it,
is.
doesn't he?
There it is. I was wondering why the jacket came on.
Yeah. It's a real honor to get to proclaim this today. A lot of people forget that China Spring is in the city of Waco, but this truly is. So much of the district, most of the district, is within the bounds of the city of Waco, and we couldn't be more proud of this team and the character that these boys represented and the excellence that we were able to see as they went and went all the way to state and came back with a trophy. And there's so much that represents Waco and the spirit of this community is the hard work and the dedication and the character of these guys. So it's with this honor that I get to read this proclamation. I, Dylan Meek, by virtue of the authority vested in me as mayor of the city of Waco, do hereby proclaim August 1st, 2023 as China Spring Cougar Baseball Team State Championship Day in the city of Waco, and urge all citizens to join with the City Council, city staff, and me in recognizing the China Spring Cougar Baseball Team as the 2023 state champions. We commend Coach Corey Beckham, the players, and the athletic staff for winning and bringing home the 4A state championship for the first time since 2000. And we proudly join the China Spring Cougar Baseball Team in celebrating this outstanding accomplishment and amazing season. The Cougar skill, dedication, discipline, and class, both on and off the field, are testament to China Spring ISD's commitment to educate their students, improve their lives, and enrich our community. Congratulations to Coach, the assistant coaches, and players. The City of Waco joins with you in celebrating and commemorating this historical win. In testimony whereof, witness my hand and the seal of the City of Waco this first day of August, 2023.
Thanks for all your support, guys. And like you said, I'm from China Springs, so I've been out there for a long time, and people don't realize it sometimes that, it's kind of split in the middle there. But our schools, almost all of our schools are in Waco now. When I grew up, it was the opposite. We weren't in Waco. We were out in the country there, and for some reason, China Spring never made a city, but you're our city now. We appreciate you guys and all the support through the community. Could have been the driving force on us just being a little bit better than the teams we beat, because we were just a little bit better, and we came home with that championship, and we're super proud and hope to be back again next year. Thanks.
Next, we have public hearing 2023-504.
And Honorable City Council, this is a public hearing to receive comments on the 2023-2024 Annual Action Plan prior to submission to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. The City of Waco's Citizen Participation Plan requires that the city conduct a public hearing to receive comments on the 2023-24 Annual Action Plan prior to submission to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. The Annual Action Plan includes a homeless, housing, and community development needs plan for addressing priority needs, and the city's specific plans for the use of the 2023-2024 Community Development Block Grant Funds and Home Investment Partnerships Program funds. The plan was made available for the public's view from June 20th of 2023 through July 20th of 2023. Previously, a public hearing was held on June 20th at the City Council meeting, which occurred during the 30-day public comment period. Hard copies were made available for the public's viewing in the City Secretary's office, the Housing Office, and the public libraries. The notice for this hearing was published in the non-legal section of the Waco Tribune Herald, posted on the city's website, posted at the city's libraries, and on the city's bulletin boards. There is a resolution on tonight's agenda for your consideration.
Any questions for staff? Well, you'll open up a public hearing for comments. Is there anyone here to speak on this item? Seeing no speakers, we will close the public hearing and I'll ask for a motion.
Move for approval.
Motion second. Any discussion? Please poll the council.
Bearfield? Home?
Yes.
Yes, that motion carries. We'll move to public hearing 2023-505.
Honorable Mayor, members of the council, this is a public hearing to consider a resolution approving Phase 3 of the final plan unit development plan for City of Waco Fire Station within PUD known as Callan Village PUD and property described as Lot 3, Block 1 of the Ritchie Road Water Tower Addition, known as 10905 Panther Way. By a vote of 11-0, Plan Commission recommended approval of the PUD based on the following findings and condition. The final PUD plan is consistent with the approved concept PUD plan, conditions of the approved concept PUD plan, and requirements of the PUD ordinance. The circulation plan, public facilities and service plan, preliminary architectural plan, and site development and landscaping plan included in the final PUD are adequate. Do have some conditions. One, the boundary landscaping shall be installed along road frontage that exceeds the requirements of Section 218C of the City of Waco zoning ordinance as follows: all season landscape screen 4 feet in height and width, densely planted with a combination of deciduous and evergreen trees and shrubs with an initial height of 3 feet. Trees shall attain a height of 6 feet within 36 months. Shrubs shall attain a maximum height of 4 feet within 36 months. And landscape screening shall be installed in a way that does not create a sight distance issue for driveways. And they have provided plans that meet those requirements.
Any questions for staff? If not, I'll open a public hearing and ask for comments. Is there anyone here to speak on this item? If not, I'll close the public hearing and ask for a motion.
Move for approval.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? Please poll the council.
Bearfield? Holmes?
Aye.
Ewing? Meek?
Yes, that motion carries. We'll move to public hearing 2023-506.
Members of the council, this is a public hearing to consider a resolution granting a special permit to Lakewood Capital Partners LLC, doing business as Connie's Car Wash for automobile car washing establishment in C2 zoning on property described as Lot 5, Block 1, Essential United Methodist Church, Number 2, addition known as 5750 Bagby Avenue. After the Plan Commission meeting, the applicant submitted a request to withdraw their application. Per Section 28132 of the zoning ordinance, City Council must hold a public hearing and vote on this request to withdraw. Staff does recommend approval of the request to withdraw.
Are there any questions for staff? We'll open a public hearing for comment. Is there anyone here to speak on this item? If not, I'll take a motion for withdrawal.
I move that we approve the withdrawal.
Second.
Motion second. Any discussion? Please poll the council.
Holmes? Ewing?
Yes.
Meek?
Yes, that motion carries. We'll move to public hearing 2023-507.
Honorable Mayor, members of the council, this is a public hearing to consider a resolution granting a special permit to Kaylee George and Ryan Kirkwood for a short-term rental type 1 in R1B zoning district on property described as Lot 31, Block C, with Ranch Camp addition known as 920 Camp Drive. By a vote of 11-0, Plan Commission recommended approval of the request based on the following findings. One, that the proposed use is consistent with the comprehensive plan and the purpose and intent of Chapter 28 zoning of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Waco. Two, the proposed use is compatible with the appropriate and orderly development of the area which is located. Three, that the proposed use will not be more objectionable to neighboring properties because of traffic congestion, noises, fumes, vibrations, or any other characteristic than any use permitted in the zoning district without the grant of special exception. And four, that available community facilities and services, including the road system, providing access to the proposed use are adequate for the proposed use.
Are there any questions for staff?
I have one quick one, Clint. Are they required to provide off-street parking for this?
Yes, so the requirement for a single-family house is 2 spaces, and then it's 1 space for each rentable room for the short-term rental, which in this case has 1.
One, yeah.
So they're required to have 3 off-street parking spaces.
Gotcha. And they meet that requirement?
Yes.
Yeah. Great, thank you.
Any other questions for staff? If not, I'll open a public hearing for comment. Is there anyone here to speak on this item? If not, I'll close the public hearing and ask for a motion.
I'll move we approve the special permit.
Motion and second. Any discussion? Please poll the council.
Bearfield? Yes. Holmes? Ewing?
Yes.
Meek?
Yes, the motion carries. We'll move to public hearing 2023-508.
Honorable members of the council, this is a public hearing to consider an ordinance of the City of Waco, Texas, amending certain portions of Section 2.2 definitions, 2.3 clarification concerning the term subdivision plan, 3.3 required documents, 5.2 permanent improvements, and 5.4 approved construction plans and specifications and record drawing plans and Appendix B subdivisions of the Code of Ordinances for the purpose of complying with the revisions to Texas Local Government Code, Chapter 212 per House Bill 3699 of the 88th regular session, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing for inclusion in the code, providing for penalties, providing a saving clause, providing a severability clause, and a finding determining the meeting at which this ordinance is passed is open to the public as required by law. By a vote of 7-0, Plan Commission recommended approval of the proposed changes as submitted.
Are there any questions for staff? We will open a public hearing. Is there anyone here who would like to speak on this item? If not, I'll close the public hearing and ask for a motion.
Move for approval.
Second?
Motion second. Any discussion? Please poll the council.
Bearfield?
Yes.
Holmes? Ewing? Meek?
Yes, that motion carries. And move to public hearing 2023-509.
Honorable Mayor, members of the council, this is a public hearing to consider an ordinance of the City of Waco banning a 20-foot wide general utility easement to the City of Waco described as 1.49 acres of land in the B, and C Railroad Survey, abstract number 160, McLennan County, Texas, and being out of that 1.61 acre City of Waco, Texas 20-foot wide general utility easement described in volume 1673, page 246 of the deed records in McLennan County, Texas. And across that called 116.64 acres described in a deed to Waco Construction LLC, an instrument 2013-02-1952 of the official public records in McLennan County, Texas, finding no duty to maintain, authorizing the city manager to execute quitclaim deeds, providing a severability clause, and finding determined the meeting which this ordinance is passed is open to the public as required by law. By a vote of 11-0, Plan Commission recommended approval of the abandonment based on the finding that utility access for surrounding properties is not adversely impacted by the abandonment of the easement.
Are there any questions for staff? We will open a public hearing for comment. Is there anyone here to speak on this item? Now I'll close the public hearing and ask for a motion.
Move for approval on first reading.
Motion second. Any discussion? Please poll the council.
Bearfield?
Yes.
Holmes? Ewing? Meek?
Yes. Motion carries. We'll move to public hearing 2023-510.
Honorable Mayor, members of the council, this is a public hearing to consider an ordinance of the City of Waco, Texas, abandoning the right-of-way of Jackson Avenue between 10th and 11th Street, described as a 0.11 acres of land in the City of Waco, McLennan County, Texas, being a part of Jackson Avenue, is shown in Lot B, of the J.W. Manns addition to the City of Waco, McLennan County, Texas, as per plat recorded in volume 28, page 243, the deed records of McLennan County, Texas, finding no duty to maintain, authorizing the city manager to execute quitclaim deeds, providing severability clause, and finding determined the meeting in which this ordinance is passed is open to the public as required by law. By a vote of 10-0, Plan Commission recommended approval of the abandonment based on the following findings and condition: that public use of the right-of-way is not required for proper flow of traffic or for emergency vehicle access to the area. Utility access for surrounding properties is not adversely impacted by the abandonment of the right-of-way, and the abandonment provides better development opportunities for the properties oriented towards Webster Avenue and South 11th Street. We have one condition: that the abandoned right-of-way be platted with the adjoining lots that front out to Webster Avenue or 11th Street.
Any questions for staff? We'll open public hearing for comments. Is there anyone here to speak on this item? Now we'll close the public hearing and I'll ask for a motion.
Move for,
Approval on first reading.
Motion second, any discussion? Please poll the council.
Bearfield,
Yes.
Holmes, Ewing. Meek.
Motion carries and we'll move to public hearing 2023-511.
Honorable Mayor, members of the council, this is a public hearing to consider an ordinance of the City of Waco, Texas, providing that the Code of Ordinances be amended by revising Section 28-247 and Chapter 28 zoning of said code, providing that the zoning map shall be changed so that certain properties described as lots 4 through 10, Block 2, the Gisler Edition, known as 1811, 1813, 1817, 1819, 1821, and 1829 Meridian Avenue. It shall be changed from C2 district classification to become and be designated in the R2 district classification, providing for penalties, providing a savings clause, providing a severability clause, and finally determining that the meeting at which this ordinance is passed is open to the public as required by law. By a vote of 11-0, Plan Commission recommended approval of the zone change based on the following findings. The proposed zoning is in conformance with the land use component of the comprehensive plan. The properties meet all the area and width requirements for R2 zoning. The existing public infrastructure is adequate to provide for uses allowed in R2 zoning. And then R2 zoning brings existing residential uses into conformance with the zoning ordinance.
Are there any questions for staff? We'll open up a public hearing for comments. Is there anyone here to speak on this item? If not, I'll close the public hearing and ask for a motion.
Move for approval on first reading.
second.
Motion second, any discussion? Please poll the council.
Bearfield,
Yes.
Holmes.
Aye.
Ewing. Meek.
Motion carries and move to public hearing 2023-512.
Honorable Mayor, members of the council, this is a public hearing to consider an ordinance of the City of Waco, Texas, providing that the Code of Ordinances be amended by revising Section 28-247 and Chapter 28 zoning of said code, providing that the zoning map shall be changed so that certain property described as Lot 17, Block 7 of the Waco Heights Edition, known as 3501 West Waco Drive, shall be changed from O2 district classification, become and be designated in O3 district classification, providing for penalties, providing a saving clause, providing a severability clause, and finding determining that the meeting in which this ordinance is passed is open to the public as required by law. By a vote of 10-0, Plan Commission recommended approval of the zone change based on the following findings. One, the proposed zoning is keeping with the land use component of the comprehensive plan and the Imagine Waco plan. The public infrastructure is adequate to provide for uses allowed in O3 zoning. The property meets all the area and width requirements for O3 zoning. There is O3 zoning near the subject property, and the proposed O3 zoning is low-intensity mixed-use zoning district that's compatible with the surrounding area and development pattern along West Waco Drive.
Are there any questions for staff? We'll open a public hearing for comments. Is there anyone here to speak on this item? Now we'll close the public hearing and I'll ask for a motion.
Move for approval.
Second.
Any discussion? Please poll the council.
Bearfield. Holmes.
Aye.
Ewing.
Yes.
Meek.
Yes, that motion carries. We'll move to public hearing 2023-513.
Honorable Mayor, members of the council, this is a public hearing to consider an ordinance of the City of Waco, Texas, providing that the Code of Ordinances be amended by revising Section 28-247 and Chapter 28 zoning of said code, providing that the zoning map shall be changed so that certain property described as Lot 3A and 4, Block 3, the Cohen Edition, known as 1816 Morrow Avenue, shall be changed from R3C district classification, become and be designated in O3 district classification, providing for penalties, providing a saving clause, providing a severability clause, and finding and determining the meeting in which this ordinance is passed is open to the public as required by law. By a vote of 11-0, Plan Commission recommended approval of zoning based on the following findings. Proposed zoning is in keeping with the land use component of the comprehensive plan and the Imagine Waco plan for greater downtown. The public infrastructure is adequate to provide for uses allowed in O3 zoning. That the property meets all area and width requirements for O3. There is O3 zoning subject to near to the subject property, adjacent to the subject property. And then the proposed O3 zoning is a low-intensity mixed-use zoning district that's compatible with the surrounding area.
That's good. Are there any questions for staff? We will open a public hearing. Is there anyone here to speak on this item? If not, we'll close the public hearing and I'll ask for a motion.
Move for approval.
Motion is second. Any discussion? Please poll the council.
Fairfield. Holmes.
Aye.
Ewing.
Yes.
Meek.
Yes. Motion carries. We'll move to public hearing 2023-514.
Honorable Mayor, members of the council, this is a public hearing to consider an ordinance of the City of Waco, Texas, providing that the Code of Ordinances be amended by revising Section 28247 and Chapter 28 zoning of said code, providing that the zoning map shall be changed so that certain property described as Lot 11, Block 36 of the Farwell Heights Edition, known as 1915 Reeder Avenue, shall be changed from C3 district classification, become and be designated into R2 district classification, providing for penalties, providing a savings clause, providing a severability clause, and finding and determining that the meeting in which this ordinance is passed is open to the public as required by law. By a vote of 11-0, Plan Commission recommended approval of the zone change based on the following findings. 1, the proposed zoning is in conformance with the land use component of the comprehensive plan. 2, the property meets all area and width requirements for R2. 3, the existing public infrastructure is adequate to provide for uses in R2 zoning. And 4, there is R2 zoning adjacent to the subject property.
Are there any questions for staff? I'll close the public hearing, or I'll open the public hearing. Is there anyone here to speak on this item? If not, I'll close the public hearing and ask for a motion.
For approval. First reading.
Motion second. Any discussion? Please poll the council.
Fairfield. Holmes.
Aye.
Ewing.
Yes.
Meek.
Yes, that motion carries. We'll move to public hearing 2023-515.
Honorable Mayor and members of the council, this is a public hearing to consider an ordinance of the City of Waco, Texas, providing that the comprehensive plan be amended to change the land use designation from A, suburban residential and open space, to institutional on properties described as 1, a 58.69 acre tract of land out of Lot 1 and Lot 2, Block 1 of the Taylor Estates Edition in the City of Waco, McLennan County, Texas, according to the plat thereof recorded under McLennan County Clerk's document 2022-00675 of the official public records in McLennan County, Texas. And 2, a 1.708 acre tract of land located in the Thomas J. Chambers Survey Abstract 7 in the City of Waco, McLennan County, Texas, and being a portion of that land described as Tract 3 in the deeds of Helen Marie Taylor recorded in McLennan County Clerk's Office 2014 019-394, 2014-019-395, and 2014-02-6456 of the official public records in McLennan County, Texas, and described as Tract 1 in the deed to Helen Marie Taylor, recorded in volume 1552, page 247 of the deed records in McLennan County, Texas. And being undeveloped plat of J.W. Taylor's addition to the City of Waco, McLennan County, Texas, according to the plat thereof recorded in volume 90, page 31 of the DRMCT, known as a portion of 2324 South University Parks Drive. B, suburban residential and open space to mixed-use flex on the property described as 12.354 acre tract of land out of Lot 1, Lot 2, Block 1 of the Taylor Estates Edition in the City of Waco, McLennan County, Texas, according to the plat thereof recorded under MCCD 2022-00675 of the official public records in McLennan County, Texas, known as another portion of 2324 South University Parks Drive, providing that the Code of Ordinances be amended by revising Section 28247 in Chapter 28 zoning of the Code, providing that the zoning map shall be changed so that certain properties described above shall be changed from M2 to O2 and M2 to C2 district classification, providing for penalties, providing savings clause, providing a severability clause, and finding determined the meeting in which this ordinance is passed is open to the public required by law. By a vote of 11-0, Plan Commission recommended approval of the land use designation from suburban residential and open space to institutional based on the following findings, the public infrastructure is adequate to provide for zoning districts allowed in the proposed land use designation. The property are located within the greater Baylor University area. They also recommended approval of the zoning from M2 to O2 based on the following findings. One, the proposed zoning is keeping with the land use component of the comprehensive plan as revised in the purposes of the Brazos River Corridor District. Two, the public infrastructure is adequate to provide for uses allowed in O2 zoning. Three, the properties are located near two intersections of two major streets, LaSalle Avenue and South University Parks Drives. And four, the property meet all the area and width requirements for O2 zoning. They also recommended approval of the land use change from suburban residential and open space to mixed-use flex for the C2 portion. Based on the following findings, the public infrastructure is adequate to provide for zoning districts allowed in proposed mixed use. The property is located at two intersection of two major streets, and the property change is consistent with the Brazos River Corridor District and complies with the LaSalle Avenue strategic plan. And then finally, for the zoning from M2 to C2, the findings are the proposed zoning is keeping with the land use component of the comprehensive plan as revised. The property meets all the area, size and width requirements for C2. The public infrastructure is adequate to provide for uses in C2. Property is located at the intersection of two major streets. And the proposed rezoning is consistent with the Brazos River Corridor District and complements the LaSalle Avenue strategic plan.
Are there any questions for staff? We will open a public hearing for comment. Is there anyone here to speak on this item? We'll close the public hearing and I'll ask for a motion.
Approval on first reading.
Second.
Motion and second. Any discussion? Please poll the council.
Fairfield,
Yes.
Holmes. Ewing.
Yes.
Meek.
Yes, that motion carries. And we will move on to the consent agenda. The consent agenda consists of resolutions 2023-516 through 570. Is there a motion on the consent agenda?
Move for approval?
Second.
Any discussion? Please poll the council.
Fairfield,
Yes.
Holmes.
Aye.
Ewing.
Yes.
Meek.
Motion carries. We'll move to ordinance 2023-571.
An ordinance establishing administrative departments of the City of Waco, Texas, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing a savings clause, providing for an effective date, and finding and determining the meeting at which this ordinance is passed is open to the public as required by law. This ordinance was approved by a 5-0 council vote on first reading on June 20th, 2023.
Is there a motion?
Move for approval on second reading?
Second, any discussion? Please poll the council.
Yes.
Holmes. Ewing. Meek.
Motion carries. Next, we'll move to ordinance 2023-573.
An ordinance creating and establishing the Parks Performance Fund and commitment thereto of revenues from operations of the City of Waco Community Centers and the Waco Mammoth National Monument, and from athletic activities in accordance with the requirements of the Government Accounting Standards Board, GASB, Statement Number 54, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing a severability clause, providing for an effective date, and finding and determining the meeting at which this ordinance is passed is open to the public as required by law. This ordinance was approved on first reading by a council vote of 5-0.
And I said that was ordinance 573, I believe, but this is actually ordinance 572. I don't know if I said the right ordinance, but we are voting now on ordinance 2023-572. Is there a motion?
Move for approval on second reading?
Second.
Motion is second. Any discussion? Please poll the council.
Fairfield,
Yes.
Holmes. Ewing.
Yes.
Meek.
The motion carries. Next, we'll go to ordinance 2023-573.
Ordinance of the City of Waco, Texas, abandoning an approximately 0.04 acre portion of alley behind 3820 Chateau Avenue, described as a 0.04 acre parcel of land, being out of that 20-foot wide alley in Block 10 of the Avenue Heights addition to the City of Waco, Texas, according to the plat of record in Volume 77, page 182 of the deed records of McLennan County, Texas. Finding no duty to maintain, authorizing the city manager to execute quitclaim deeds, providing a severability clause, and finding and determining the meeting at which this ordinance is passed is open to the public as required by law. This ordinance was approved by a 5-1 council vote on first reading on April 18th, 2023.
Is there a motion?
Move for approval on second reading?
Second.
Any discussion? Please poll the council.
Fairfield. Holmes. Ewing.
Yes.
Meek.
Yes, that motion carries, and we'll move to ordinance 2023-574.
City of Waco, Texas, providing that the Code of Ordinances be amended by revising Section 28-247 and Chapter 28 zoning of said code, providing the zoning map shall be changed so that certain property described as 25 acres, more or less, being all that tract of land located in the H. Roberts Survey, abstract number 751, McLennan County, Texas, being part of that called 70.27 acres of land described in a deed to Bob R. Davis as recorded in McLennan County Clerk's document 2004-027-029 of the official public records of McLennan County, Texas, and located at the intersection of Old Lorena Road and Church Road, south of Highway 84. Property ID 327759 shall be changed from R1B district classification and become and be designated to R3C district classification, providing for penalties, providing a savings clause, providing a severability clause, and finally determining the meeting at which this ordinance is passed is open to the public as required by law. This ordinance was approved by a 5-0 council vote on first reading on June 20th, 2023.
Is there a motion?
Move for approval on second reading.
Any discussion? Please poll the council.
Bearfield,
Yes.
Holmes, Ewing,
Yes.
Meek.
The motion carries, and next we'll move to the hearing of visitors. The hearing of visitors section of the agenda is the time we provide an opportunity for the public to present concerns or address issues that are not matters for discussion on the consent agenda. Council is unable to conduct discussion, but we will listen, ask staff to look into concerns, and provide follow-up. Please provide registration information so that staff can contact you if necessary. If you have handouts, please let us know at the beginning of your presentation, and staff will distribute those to council. If you're unable to approach the podium due to physical limitations, a microphone is available to be brought to you. I have several cards here tonight, and the first is Nancy Marquise. I might be saying that wrong. We'll come to the podium.
So glad I got to wait over there because I was so nervous coming out. And I'm not used to talking to anybody like this. And I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Good evening.
Good evening. And I've changed. I was practicing what I was going to say at home. That was one reason why I was late coming in. And I've decided I'm going to change it a little bit because you don't need to know some of the stuff. But do you want me to start with my 3 minutes?
Sure, you're
It'll
going.
be real
You're on the
quick.
ticker.
I promise you it'll be quick.
You're good.
Okay, we all are experiencing the heat, right? And it's universal, it's everywhere, okay? And I've lived in Waco on and off. This is the worst. I bought a house in '89, built in '55, and had no amenities or insulation or anything. And I've done all that in the 30 years. Okay, I don't use my air conditioner. I live on Charbonneau. Now, I lie. I turned it on the 18th of this month, or July, because it really got so bad. My dogs were suffering more than I was, okay? But I didn't use it at all last year, and I have a statement from my electric company showing that I didn't, and my highest bill was like $80. That's pretty effective, you think? But why? Why? Okay. I planted trees. I had no trees at all in my yard when I moved in. And we all know the benefit of trees, both aesthetically and what they do for, shade. And I planted them east, south, and west, the pattern of the sun. So I also put in insulation. And now this has taken 30 years to do. You're not doing it overnight. But I'm just trying to emphasize the benefits that we can do. So I put in foam insulation. And in the attic, underneath the rafters, even though my house is so old, they think, oh, that's only for new houses. No, it can be for any house. And then I put it in the crawl space, so I have a sandwich, basically, of insulation, okay? I put in an on-demand water heater, and I went to a program where they emphasize recycling and taking care of our country, our utilities. And the lady next to me didn't even know what an on-demand water heater was. And this is the focus of this group. The moderator and I were the only ones in the entire group that had an on-demand water heater. Let's see if I can get my bill here. But my bill for this year, May and June, $26 for gas, and in July it's $27. That's pretty effective, isn't it? What I'm trying to say is, we can make these improvements throughout the city. And yes, I know it took me 30 years, but I've gone to the historic meeting where they talk about the grants. I know from my academy that you guys have a bunch of grants for windows and all sorts of stuff. And a lot of people don't know about this. We really need to make a bigger effort with all the groups that we have, all the intelligence in the city. We have MCC, we have Baylor, we have TSTC, we have Tarleton, we have A&M. We have all of these people that can coordinate and give good ideas, right? I'm not talking for myself. I'm 79 and my time's limited. But this is for the rest of us. This can benefit all of us. And yes, it's uncomfortable when you don't use your air conditioner, but even so, and I have it currently set at 82, which is more than better. I have fans. You know, what I'm trying to say is if we can prove via our bills how much we're really using as far as utilities and everything go, which will improve our whole country, basically. And it can start in Waco. We can make the effort. We can coordinate it. Friends of the Climate is part of it. Keep Waco beautiful.
Now, I don't want to cut you off, but your time is up. But just,
sure.
just wrap up your thoughts, please.
Pardon?
Just wrap up your thoughts, please.
Bottom line is we need to coordinate. Why are we duplicating grants that people don't know about? Why are we duplicating different efforts by individuals? We could coordinate with consumers. We could coordinate with the contractors, with the plumbers, with all these people. They might give a discount if we were all part of this program. And I don't know how to facilitate it. That's why I'm talking to y'all. But it could work. There's just way too much duplication, and people don't know about it.
Thank you so much for your comments and being a model citizen.
And I care.
Thank you for caring. Next, we have Dr. Alan Northcutt.
Alan Northcutt, and you do have a handout. Now, this summer has been branded with evidence that the climate crisis is here now, with record-setting heat waves, drought, crop loss, famine, floods, and wildfires around the globe. And Waco itself has been severely impacted. Waco has been scorched by 26 days of 100 degrees F or greater so far. At this moment, severe drought involves 2/3 of the county, and moderate drought involves 1/3 of the county. Today, this very day, we experience what's called an excessive heat warning with dangerous heat and risk of heat-related illness. We're also under a red flag warning with risk of rapid ignition and spread of wildfires. Now, in this background, the city has taken steps to lighten the carbon footprint of the government, and we appreciate this. But little has been done to assist the non-government sector to lighten its carbon footprint, which is actually larger than that of the city government. Thus, we call on the city to apply for an EPA grant called, quote, Solar for All, designed to assist low-income and disadvantaged people install rooftop solar. The cover page of this program is in your handout. The program will distribute $7 billion in 60 grants, ranging from 25 to 400 million. For example, a $25 million grant to the city would fund over 1,000 rooftop solar systems. And with TSTC Solar Tech Training Program, a partnership to assist with employment of these solar students in Waco could be devised. Now, in addition to our 4 speakers today, I have in your handout letters from 11 citizens from Central Texas, also calling on the city to apply for a Solar for All grant. These range from Bank Vice President Matt Helton to Master of Social Work students to a retired professor of biology and retired RN Pat White. Now, the EPA has provided a short timeline for this, requiring the city to file a notice of intent by August 14th and a completed application by September 26th. But I think this is doable. This is a win-win-win program for the city. There's the win of contributing to the city's goal of lowering its carbon footprint, obviously, while strengthening Texas's shaky grid. There's the win of supporting environmental justice by providing solar funding for low-income people And there's the win of minimal cost to the city, and that's always an issue at the meetings here is the cost. This could cost very minimal to the city if one of these grants is obtained. So the climate crisis does not permit delay. This is an opportunity, and we call on the city to apply for a, quote, Solar for All grant with the EPA as soon as possible. Thank you.
Thank you. Next we have Joyce Nobis. Nobis, thank you. Good evening.
My name is Joyce Nobis. I live at 1629 Meridian Avenue in Waco, Texas, 76708. I have lived essentially my whole life in Waco, Texas. I have been a long-term member of Waco Friends of the Climate. I think most of us recognize that the climate is in crisis. I think that's finally, most people most of the time recognize that the climate is in crisis. What is less commonly recognized, certainly what is less owned, is that we must reduce the emissions in our atmosphere. To cure the problem? Probably not. The problem is probably not curable, but will mitigate the effects of the climate crisis. We will be able to mitigate. We cannot cure at this point, I am afraid. Our roof is on fire. Our roof is on fire. I am paraphrasing from a speaker I heard at a climate march in New York City about 15 years ago. The federal government is presently offering a minimum of $20 billion, million for solar panels. Solar panels do not have any emissions into the atmosphere. 20 million, I believe, is up to 400 million, 500 million. These solar panels would be for the roofs of the poor and disadvantaged in our community. For the climate change, the climate crisis does not affect all of us equally. There is more concrete. There are fewer trees in the poorer communities of our cities, and that includes Waco. It can be 15 degrees hotter in the poorer communities. That doesn't include the fact that they cannot afford the 300 to 400 to 500 on up electric bills. So within their own homes, they're not as cool. They cannot keep their homes cool. They cannot afford it. They cannot run the air conditioners all day. Is that my time?
Yes, ma'am.
Let me wrap it up. In helping the poor, there would be no rate hikes if we implement solar panels to their homes. It would increase their home values. There'd be low upkeep. You just wash the panels a couple of times a year if it doesn't rain. It would reduce the effects of climate change on them, and by helping them, we will also help ourselves. We must reduce emissions. Thank you.
Next we have Julia Kazaki, and on deck we'll have Bruce Allen. Good evening.
Hello, I am Julia Kazaki. I live at 6617 Fish Pond Road in Waco. I am a semi-retired senior lecturer in Italian at Baylor. There are a number of reasons why the City of Waco should apply for a grant from the Solar for All program. I will focus on the stability of the electric grid. Winter Storm Uri in February 2021 demonstrated that the grid can fail us during extreme weather events when we need it most. Interestingly, during those frigid days, solar performed better than natural gas. Of course, in our area, extreme weather usually occurs on sunny summer days, the very conditions when solar panels are most productive. This summer's lengthy heat wave has strained Texas's grid, leading to several appeals to customers to conserve energy, which indicates that grid failure continues to be possible. The consequences of blackouts, whether during a heat wave or extreme cold, could be deadly. With the local population and economy growing, demand for electricity is bound to increase, and there will undoubtedly be many hot days in our future. Solar panels' contribution to the grid, especially at times of peak demand, would help stabilize the grid. I urge you, please do what you can to make the electric grid more reliable for all of us.
Thank you. And last but not least, we have Bruce Allen.
Mr. Mayor and City Council, thank you for hearing citizens' concerns this evening about the issue of sustainability. I wrote a letter, it's in your packet. I was asked to read it. I'm going to just kind of summarize it. And I'll just say I agree with everything I've heard so far about the importance of this issue. And first, I just want to say I want to congratulate the city on your efforts so far. I'm very pleased that y'all have purchased green power. I'm very pleased that you purchased electric vehicles, battery electric vehicles and charging stations. I'm delighted to hear that you're getting Forest City electric buses, and I assume have the infrastructure for that as well. And finally on that, because I live in Woodway, Texas, I can't be a part of the Sustainable Resources Advisory Council, but I certainly applaud those efforts and hope that you will follow up with them. As people have said, this is a win-win. This grant could be very large, at least $25 million if you get it, I assume. And it's the cities have to take a leading role in fighting climate change. Of course, citizens have to do the same in their own personal lives as well. But I think what the beauty of this is it will provide economic development. It will help income challenged folks, get a break on their power bills and be able to use their money for other things. And I also just think, generally speaking, that the economic success in the next half century is going to go to the cities that have the green infrastructure. It's just that simple. And progressive cities, I'm the father of two children that are in their 30s, and I can assure you that the younger generation is demanding this. They're concerned about it. They believe this must be something that must be happening, and I'm hoping you'll take that into consideration. And finally, as someone who's a little older, it is our responsibility, both as citizens and as leaders of the city, that we do our best to give our children and grandchildren and their children the world, ideally, the world that we inherited. That will not be possible. But still, I think it is an absolute moral imperative for each of us individually and the leadership of this city collectively to do everything we can to mitigate the effects of climate change. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much. Is there anyone else who would like to speak during the hearing of visitors? If not, I'll close the hearing of visitors. And are there any comments, announcements council would like to make, or reports on committees, boards, or commission liaison visits, or the scheduling, or the request for the scheduling of future agenda items? If not, we will adjourn this meeting at 6:50 p.m. Thanks, everybody.